Hey team, this is Wookie Cookie, and this is about my 5th try to record a video for you on using the Deathstorm team in Phase 3 of Sith Triumvirate. Quick introduction, this is the team. Zeta Talzin leadership is required. Zeta Rampage on Ventress is required. And I also have the Zeta on Old Daka's unique. I think it's called Serve Again. You don't need it per se, but not having really high health on her makes it more difficult to have a good run that goes long. You can see my initiate is pretty weak. I really just want her to die and get revived over and over again. And then zombie is G10, so that her, whichever her unique is, can be fully utilized. Now I want to demonstrate one other thing which I'm not sure everybody's aware of, and that's airplane mode. So once things settle down here, I'm putting in airplane mode, and the reason why is that my game won't communicate to the servers until I reconnect. If something catastrophic happens, I can force close the app before I reestablish my connection. I won't lose my characters, I won't lose my my attempt. Okay, with that out of the way, the key is the setup, which is we need Talzin and Initiate dead. To get that to happen, we need 2 Night Sisters, and they can be any Night Sisters other than Zombie to die, so that Zombie won't resurrect them. And the best way to do this is to try and get the Bonds of Weakness to stack up pretty high quickly. You can see that Zombie's taunting, which is sometimes good and sometimes not helpful for us. We need to get the taunt off so that we can get Initiate and Talzin to take damage. But the key is that when Isolate is off cooldown, we really need Zombie taunting. So, Zombie's not taunting right now. I've got a Saber with Retribution. Initiate's pretty weak. She attacks it and you can see that she'll be dead pretty soon. At the beginning, when we haven't killed many Sabers, we haven't had Night Sisters die very often, the health pools for Daka and Ventress aren't super high, so they are in danger of dying. It's okay as long as they're not isolated, because there's so many ways to get Night Sisters back from the dead. But you do want to be conscious of it. You can see that Daka is pretty low in health. Now right now, it doesn't hurt us to use her special. You can see that Talzin still has protection. Initiate has lost a sliver of life, but that's okay. She doesn't have a high health pool, so she'll lose it quickly. I don't really want Daka to die this soon, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. Perfect. Treya did what we wanted. She isolated Zombie, which is going to help us out, because if one of Talzin or Initiate dies, our run is over. Okay. Now, perfect. Our setup is complete. We got very lucky there. There's one problem, which is, as I said, Dak is low in health. That's okay, though. At this point, I'm ready to start toppling Treya and letting the team do its magic. Because we're early on, the damage is going to be fairly low. So, what I'm going to do is topple. Wow. As I said, the damage is kind of low. Luckily, I was able to kill the Saber and bring Daka back. And now every time I attack, we bring back that Night Sister to assist. She dies. And, as a bonus, both Talzin and Initiate try to apply either a damage over time or a debuff. It's going to get resisted because of the super high tenacity, and that's going to feed back more turn meter to our team through the Talzin leadership. Now my strategy here early on is to just keep attacking until I get Treya close to high turn meter. When she's about to come out, I'm going to use the Ventress special to heal, and that's just to make things easier early on. The majority of the damage that we're going to do is really close to Enrage or in Enrage itself, because we've got to get Ventress ramped up. Okay, so the one thing to be mindful of is you can see that Isolate's cooldown is on 1. If she isolates Daka or Ventress, our run is over. We're going to have to retreat and restart. But now we'll topple again. We have to use that AoE to topple, or else we risk bringing back one of the dead Night Sisters, and they will unfortunately stay alive. We need them dead to keep assisting and dying, because that feeds the Rampage and Serve Again Zetas. You can also see the Bonds of Weakness there at 34 on Treya. So that's not helping us anymore. And my preference is to clear it earlier rather than later. But I'm a little bit worried about that Isolate she has. So we're going to wait for her to use Isolate. And then I'm going to use Ventress to stand alone to reset the bonds and get her toppled. Apologize for my wife's bird. Okay, so I didn't see it happen. She must have used Isolate on Zombie, because her cooldown's back up at 3. So now I'm going to go ahead and stand alone with Ventress. And that one Saber has Foresight, which means I'm going to have to take 2 attacks. But as long as it doesn't miss, we topple Treya, and we're back in business. Bonds of Weakness is reset, and Treya's not going to get that many turns out of topple. Or rather, we're not going to take that many turns when Treya's out of topple. So we won't be stacking that Bonds of Weakness up very high. And that really comes in later, because when we get to Enrage and she puts the buff block on us, there might be a health immunity, heal immunity on there as well. Okay, you can see that Daka took a hit from the saber and it barely scratched her because her health pool is climbing every time we kill something. And every time a Night Sister assists and dies. So Ventress is hitting there for about 130k, and you can see we've got 5 turns left to topple. Most of the time where there's a topple, I can get 7 to 8 hits in with Ventress, who's doing the lion's share of the damage, as we'll see. You can see what she hit for 150 there. So the key is really getting deep in these runs to do good damage. Okay, so that's unfortunate. Basically, our run is in danger of ending because now that Ventress got isolated, if she dies, she can't come back. Treya's only got 3 turns until Enrage, so there's a real good chance that we're not going to get somebody else isolated before we go into Enrage, where she's going to set that debuff on us and we're just going to be locked. The other problem is Isolate doesn't give us the turn meter feed the way that we need. So when we get in here, and I'm going to have to get another turn to take out those other sabers. Whereas Ventress was usually getting 7 or 8 attacks, she's probably going to get 2 or 3 here. So that was 2. And Treya's back. So instead of doing 1,000,000 damage or more, we got about 300k from that topple out of Ventress. Okay. Looks like a little graphical glitch. The other thing we can see is that my zombie here, if I can get the buff to come up. Zombie's not gaining any turn meter. So she's not going to take another turn. She's not going to be able to help us. Treya just used Isolate, which means she probably isolated Daka, and she's probably gone. Unfortunately, we won't go deep into Enrage here, but we can still get an attack or 2 in with Ventress. You can see Daka's not coming back. And hopefully the sabers will do us a favor and attack Zombie. And that's the end of the run. So I'm in airplane mode. You can see that there's an error with my connection. And since I actually decide I want to post the damage and see what we did, I'll go turn airplane mode off.